Hello and welcome to another webinar that we'll be doing over the last 12 to 18 months here at Simply Mail Solutions. Today's one is about Business Voice, and I'm Martin here and I'm the Technical Support Manager. So let's get started with today's webinar. So as we always do at the beginning, just a quick introduction about the company. We are here to help. We are here to help all our customers and new customers with in all areas of cloud services, whether it's email or web. We can go through step by step through functionality that you may already have, or if you're looking at taking out new services that are going to benefit your business, we're here to advise you on that technically and obviously on the sales side as well. Where possible, we always try and provide free of charge solutions to get around a situation or issue that you have, or if you want to try and be more productive within your business. And we do try and provide alternate services for things like spam prevention and archiving purposes, backup services and things like that. And obviously the support team are here 24/7. So let's get started with today's webinar. So basically today's about Business Voice, and the question to a lot of people will be what is Business Voice? So Business Voice was introduced about 12 to 18 months ago by Microsoft as a bundle phone system, because before that basically was you had to have a phone system and then you had to buy inclusive minutes for the actual service to work, and there was a few other add-ons that you needed to make it work. So they basically they teamed together and they built this, they created this effectively add-on called Business Voice, which gives you a full featured phone system as well as domestic minutes with that. And what this basically allows you to do is it allows you to have a phone system integrated as part of your Office 365 subscription. So there's many cloud phone providers out there, and some people might say, what's the difference between having it with Microsoft and someone else? Well, the main difference is if you've already got Office 365 and you want heavy integration with Teams, then you would choose to get Business Voice, because what that will allow you to do is you'll get the full functionality of the actual service, whereas if you get a third-party service, there may be some features that aren't available within, say, Outlook, for example. So it allows you to make phone calls to any number, so just like a normal phone line would do. It can replace the old style PBX, so your public branch exchange that you'd have in your office. You can actually replace that with Business Voice. So we do have customers that do use it as their main phone system, and they've actually got rid of that box in the office, and now it's all in the cloud. But that's effectively what you're doing. You're moving your phone system into the cloud where your email is, your files, etc. And it allows you to then effectively have everything in the cloud, and it's available anywhere there's an internet connection. So you could be, in the US, you could be in Australia. As long as you've got an internet connection, the service will work. It also allows you to have up to 300 seats, so that's 300 users on the actual system itself. And like I mentioned before, it does include domestic calling plan, and it also allows you to do audio conference as well. So you get like a dialing number that you can dial to listen into, say, conference meetings, etc. There is some additional add-ons that you can get part of the service. They are basically to allow things like international calling mainly. So if you're going to be dialing international numbers, then you would need to buy an add-on to do that. So these are some of the features of Business Voice. So it allows you to ring local and international numbers. Obviously, the international number side, you would need the minutes for all that. It allows you to create things like call queues, which we will go into a bit later on. You've got full caller ID, so you can actually set it to be go out as a no number or a Pacific number or whichever number you want to go out as. You've got a thing called holiday scheduling, which is fairly new. That's only been added in the last 6 to 12 months. That allows you to basically schedule, say, for example, Christmas Day, for example. You can say, well, there's no one going to be in on Christmas Day, so you can set the system to transfer calls to voicemail, for example. Emergency calling is quite an important one because it's because it's a cloud-based system. They work slightly differently to a normal, say, landline. So you have to effectively create an emergency profile on it, but it will actually allow you to ring 999 or 112 or 911 if you're in America. So you can actually call the emergency service from it. It'll just work as a normal phone. Voicemail is included. You can do call parking and forwarding. Music on hold is an option. You can block numbers. So if you get spam calls, you can block them. There is on some of the upper for the IVR system to work, you'd need to be on enterprise voice for that to actually work. And obviously you've got international and domestic calling plan. There's an option for toll-free dial-in. So you can ring, you can basically call 0800 numbers. You can actually even have an 0800 number as well. And obviously audio conferencing. There are some of the features. There's many other features to that. If you want to discuss further features with us, then just call our support team and we'll be happy to help on that one. So these are the supported plans. So you need to be on a specific Office 365 plan in order to actually use the Business Voice add-on. So you need to be on either 365 Business Basic Standard Premium or F1 F3, and then there's Office 365 F3, and there's also Enterprise E1 and or E3. So as long as you're on one of them plans, the majority of people will be on the top three, and then you obviously got bigger companies will be on the bottom, the enterprise ones. But as long as you're on any of them plans, you can add this on, and this particular Business Voice is a per user license. So you'd have to, if you've got 10 users, you'd have to have 10 Business Voice add-ons in order for that to work for every user. So this is basically just going to go into actually how you do things within Business Voice. So one of the main things is when you get the add-on and we've assigned it to your user and it's fully provisioned, the next stage will be how to assign a number. So basically to assign a number, you have to order it, which is included in the actual package. This is done via the Teams admin area. And when you go into Teams admin area, you can actually then create a number. So you can create a number in multiple ways. There's about 4 or 5 different options. The main one is a subscriber, which basically means that it's for specific users. So for example, if I needed a number, I would set it up as a subscriber. You can also set them up for queues as well. So you would choose the subscriber, and then it would ask you for some details regarding what type of number, what area code you want. You choose the location. So if you've got your office in Manchester but you want it to be a London number, you can choose an 020 number. They are available on there. So you can just choose that, and then you have to provide emergency contacts where your physical location is. That's just so in the event the emergency services need to know where you are, they can trace it. Basically, that's all that's for. And then you place the order, and then the number is ready usually within minutes. And then basically once the number's available, you just go into the users section within the Teams admin area, into the actual user you want to assign the number to, and there's a section for phone number, and it's a case of just assigning that number to that user, and then the number's usually live within a couple of hours. Sometimes it's a lot less than that, and it'll just start working, and then you can just make calls as normal, in and out, and it'll just work fine. So toll numbers there's 2 types of toll numbers. There's basically like an 0845 toll number, which is like a low call number, or there's an 0800, which is obviously a free phone number. In order to actually use these numbers for people to ring them to use, so for example, like an 0800 number, you would have to get what's known as a communication credit. And all that basically is, it's a bit like Pay and Go, really. What it basically does is it's a wallet of a set amount of minutes that are available. So when someone rings the 0800 number, it pays for that call, because obviously the call, even though the number is free to the customer ringing or the client that's ringing in, you cover the costs of that call because it's obviously an 0800 number. So you basically add what's known as communication credits, and they're added by the actual end user themselves. Currently, we can't add them, so we can advise you how to add them. It's just a couple of clicks basically. Microsoft normally recommend that you have between 10 and 50 pounds worth of credit in there, just to ensure that everything is going to be okay on there. But you can add various numbers. There's 0800, there's I believe there's an 0300, there's 0845. There's several different numbers that you can choose for the toll number. We do have people that do have 0800, and we do have people that have 0845, so it is fully available. But as long as the communication credits are available, then them numbers will work. Generally, though, most people will just want a normal local number, like a London or a Manchester or Glasgow number, for example. That's usually how it would work. But if you do want to be a bit more bespoke, I suppose, and you want a direct 0800 or 0845, then that option is available, but you just have to add these communication credits in order for that to work. So we're just going to move on to some admin stuff now. So basically, as an admin, obviously all 365 accounts have a global admin account. We can advise who that is, and we can add others for you as well. But one of the features as an admin is that you can create what's known as call policies. Now, call policies or policies in general on 365 are an incredible thing, especially on Teams / Business Voice, because these can be set per user or org wide. So what you can do with a policy is effectively a definitive list of what someone can or can't do. So for example, if you have an IT department that wants to have a preview version of Teams, but you don't want the accounts team to have that version of Teams, you can set up a custom policy to say, provide them with the latest beta version of Teams, and you create a policy with that information in, and then you assign that a policy to the users that you want to be able to do that. It's the same goes for if you don't want your call center staff, for example, to make private calls to specific numbers, you can actually create a policy for that. So only then people can do that. You can do the same for international numbers as well. You can block things like them dialing voicemail. There's the ability to, there's even the ability to update your caller ID. So there's a caller ID policy in there. And what that basically does is that will basically allow you to, when you dial out, you can either have it going out with your specific number that's been assigned, or you can have it going out as unknown, because there is people that want that to be the case, or you can have it going out as your main number for your call center or your help desk or for the business in general, basically. So if you have 10 users, but you don't want their numbers to be published when they ring out, you can just have that published as your main number for the whole company, which majority of people would use, because obviously if someone's away and they ring that number that they've rang out on and they're not available, it could be urgent. So you can actually set it so multiple users can ring out with the same number, even though they've got their own number. It will show as the main number for the business or the main help desk itself. There's loads of other policies. You can use policies for things like live events, like we're doing now. So you can restrict only certain people doing live events. There's ones for meetings. There's ones for a various amount of things, whether they can take inbound calls or do outbound calls. There's the list goes on. They are a very useful thing, and ourselves, we actually use various policies on our setup, and they just work flawlessly. So call queues, that's one of the main key areas of it, because a lot of people will want to use call queues. So a call queue is effectively just a queue of multiple people, or you can have one person, that effectively handles the call. So when you ring a number, you can have it hitting a queue and what you're going to do with it, basically. So usually if you ring your doctors or whatever, you'll normally get a recorded message, and then it'll say your call's been put on hold, please wait. That's effectively a call queue. So you can do the same thing with Business Voice. You can create a call queue that says, I want these 7 people I want the phone to ring them 7 people when we ring our main number, and you can then choose how you want that call to ring. So if you want it to ring where it rings one person, then the next, and so on, or all at the same time, or the last person that hasn't, the last person that's called ring the next person. There is even an option where you can opt out of them taking calls, which is just so they can be effectively come out of the queue, which is useful for some people. You can do it with presence. So if their presence is busy in Teams, they won't get a call. If they're available, they will get a call. So it's handy if they're in meetings, for example, or on holiday or whatever. And you can also do things like, so if these 7 people aren't available, what do you want to do with the call? Now you can either drop the call so it times out, or you can send it to things like voicemail or another number, or even another potentially another queue as well. So it is very, very flexible, and you can create you can put hold music on there. Obviously, you'd have to get either copyrighted free music, or if you've got the copyright for your own stuff, then you could put the one on there. To be honest with you, the generic one that you get with it is fairly usable, and it's really good, to be quite frank. And that's basically what a queue does. The only thing that you need to make a queue work would be what's known as a virtual user license, and they're free. So all you need to do is you add one, which we can advise how to do. You add that virtual user license, because in order to create a queue, you have to create a user for that queue. So, for example, you'd create an address for called support queue at your domain, for example, and then you assign that virtual user license to that mailbox, and then that was not really a mailbox, so that user, sorry, and then basically that will then be visible within the queue itself, so you can actually assign the queue to it. So when somebody calls the number that's assigned to the queue, anyone that's listed in that queue will get the call, basically. It is a very usable system itself. There is a lot of stuff that you can do in the queues itself. There's multiple things that you can do in the queue. You can do timeouts, so how long you want the phone to ring for. You can do things like how many people can call in. So you can set it to say I want to ever be 10 people on hold at the same time, but I want it to time out after 3 minutes, for example. So you can do things like that with it. They're very, very usable. It's what most people would, if they've got a group of people that you want a phone to go to, that's what they'd use. So it is a very usable feature of Business Voice and Teams. So we're just going to go on to an FAQ section now on basically just some general basic questions that we've had. So one thing is, what does it work on? So it basically works on pretty much all platforms. So Windows, Apple, iOS, Android. There is a Linux app as well for it, which is still in preview, but there is one available. You can actually add desk phones as well. So there is a certain amount of desk phones that you can add, which are available on the link on screen. And you can actually configure it so you can have a physical desk phone. So if you want some desk phones, then you can just get one, and basically you just plug it into your network and you configure it with the configuration details to get that working, which we can assist you with, and we can also assist you with what makes and models of phones are compatible as well. And you can have a normal desk phone, so it would be just like having a normal phone realistically, but it's actually in the cloud. So that is one thing. And the apps that you get for Apple and Windows, Mac, etc., they all work flawlessly. You literally just it's normal Teams, but when you go to the phone, you get a dial pad. So you get a dial pad, it'll show you what number yours is, and you can just use it like a normal soft phone, basically. And you can, once you're on a call, you can do things like if you need to transfer someone to someone else, you can do that. You can do effectively a transfer situation where you can effectively put them on hold, speak to the person that you're speaking to, tell them about what the problem is, and then transfer them. You can do, there's a new feature on it which will actually show captions of the call. So for people that are hard of hearing, for example, you can actually get an actual visual of what the people are saying, as long as it's clear. The text is pretty flawless, really. You are going to get some iffy bits on it because it depends how that comes across, but I've used it myself, and I've found no major problems with it. It does work really well. You can obviously record your calls and things like that as well on it, so it is very, very usable. So there's another question that people do ask, and it's basically, can Teams be used as a call center, like wallboards, that kind of thing? At the moment, no. There's no functionality at the moment that's there that will show you a call board of waiting calls and calls that need to be called back, or outbound calls, inbound calls, SLA, how long someone's been on the phone for, what's the total waiting time, how many people are waiting. There isn't that functionality at the moment. There is third-party tools that will allow you to do it, that would obviously have to be purchased separately, that will add on to it. But at the moment, from the last time I checked, they're still waiting on certain APIs to be enabled for that to actually work. It may be that Microsoft are working on something, but we've not heard anything that is the case, if that will come to fruition or anything. But it would be nice if they did do that, because that is one feature that would be beneficial to a lot of people, including ourselves, to have that feature, so you can actually see, especially from like a manager point of view, or person in charge. That moves on to another question. Can you enable full featured reporting? So obviously the whole idea of having a phone system is reports to see how many calls that you're having, how many people have been, who's been on the phone the longest, for example, what numbers have called in, what queue's being called, etc. So at the moment, there's no, there is a way of doing it, but there's no way in the actual admin panel. In the admin panel, you can just see the call quality and a few other bits and pieces. So what you have to do is Microsoft have actually created a way of doing it via Power BI. So you can get a Power BI, you can get the free plan, which it works fine in. And we can provide you the link to the article on Microsoft's website that will actually show you how to do it. We've actually enabled it ourselves. It is still in a preview state. It works relatively well, but there is times that it doesn't update in real time. Basically, it updates every 30 minutes, and sometimes it can be hit or miss, but generally it's been fine and it has worked okay, and it will show you how many calls have come in total, what person the call went to, what queue it went to. So it is usable, and it is getting better, but because it's still effectively like a preview version, it's still work in progress, but it's getting a lot better, and it is better than having nothing. So it is usable, and you can use it, and it's all web driven, so you can go onto the Power BI website once you've actually hooked it all in. You do need the Power BI desktop in order to enable it, so you need to be on Windows because that's the only platform it's on. But once you've enabled it and published it to the Power BI servers, you can then effectively view it through a web browser, or you can add Power BI to Teams, which gives you the Teams add-on, which means then you can effectively Power BI add-on, sorry, and then you can click, and then on the left-hand side in Teams you have an option for Power BI, and you can click on it and view all your stats for the calls, which is what I do. So it works perfectly well. And how can we get Business Voice? So you can get Business Voice by calling 01925 818 448. You want to purchase it, but if you want any more information regarding it, then just call 01925 818 252 or open a ticket with support, and we'll be able to advise you further. But if it is something that you are looking for doing, especially if you want to have a cloud-based phone system, which is the way it's going, then we do recommend that you add this service onto your account. And basically, it's very, very reliable. It's one of the best phone cloud systems I've used, and I've used several, and it just works. And because it's that heavily integrated into Teams, you get all the functionality. It simply just works. It's an out-of-box system that does works, and it's customizable. And even if you don't want to customize it and amend policies and things like that, once you've assigned a number, it'll just work. So you don't have to mess with it or anything. So it is really good for that point of view. So just before we conclude today's webinar, we're just going to explain now, I'm going to explain now how SMS fits in. So SMS, or Simply Mail Solutions, has been here since 2006. Our aim has always been everything in the cloud. We predominantly provide 365 services and add-ons. But we do also provide other services such as backups, anti-spam, domains, and web hosting. So if you want to have everything under one umbrella, like a lot of people do, because it's like effectively one bill, you can have your email, web, domain, backup solutions, phone systems with us. And that's what we're here for. We're fully UK based. Our help desk is in the UK. It is available Monday to Friday 9 to 5, and outside of office hours you can open a ticket 24 hours a day, and typically it's normally replied to within a few hours. Most of the time it's replied to within about 100 minutes, depending on how many tickets we're getting in, but generally they are dealt with very, very quickly, and that's our goal. Our goal is to provide the best service we can within support, and obviously to the customer going forward. All the systems that we provide, we have actually used ourselves. Some of them very, very heavily, and so we are very knowledgeable, especially in the support team. We are knowledgeable on the products that we sell and provide support on. And just once again, if you do need to get a hold of us, It's 01925 818 448, and that's for sales, and for support 01925 818 252, or you can open a ticket via the portal.simplyms.com. So that concludes today's webinar. I just want to thank everyone for watching. The numbers again are on screen, and our website's on screen. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are doing these webinars every fortnight. We also put other content up there about other services that we provide and how to, etc. Which you go to smstv.simplyms.com. We also have quite a lot of extensive information, and it's been updated monthly on our knowledge base, which you can go to is kb.simplyms.com if you're not sure on something. But if you can't find something, please just call the support team, and if you believe there's something missing from the knowledge base, then just give us a call and we will look at adding it for you. So I just want to say my name is Martin. Thank you very much for watching today, and take care.